Well, first of all, thanks to all the panel members. I can see you like popping in and out for the last half an hour. And I'm very grateful you're all here. And we're very excited to sponsor this particular part of the Blockchain Week. And TechLeap, some of you might know the organization already, is a not-for-profit organization that supports startups and scale-ups in the Netherlands. And I'm the connector technology there, beautiful title. But TechLeap basically supports startups and scale-ups in 3 different areas. They provide access to capital, access to talent, and access to markets. And since this year, we also have a technology department headed up by Anne Stropos. And the purpose of technology is really to try and lower the barriers for some of both the enabling technologies as well as some of the core technologies like robotics, and life sciences to really kind of flourish in the Netherlands. So blockchain is one of those technologies that is high on our list. And we're just really happy for you guys to be involved in this panel. And what I'd love to hear from the panel today is the state of play of blockchain in the Netherlands, but also the barriers that you encounter, and maybe a bit of a benchmark towards international context as well. So I'll be sitting back, and I have a fantastic moderator in the studio called Maarten Smakman, and he will take over from here and lead the conversation with you guys. But thank you, and enjoy the conversation here.
Okay, thank you, Arjan. Yeah, welcome to this interesting discussion, hopefully. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Maarten Smakman. I'm the initiator of Blockchain Village, which is the Amsterdam blockchain ecosystem where we are connecting people from science, education, people from government working in blockchain, and of course also entrepreneurs. And regarding these entrepreneurs, I think we have a really, really interesting panel lined up, and I would like to introduce them to you because I think this panel, I think I'm gonna name them Team Dutch Blockchain Week, and with this panel I would like to aim at Arjan as our prime goal, and of course Arjan explicitly asked us to feed him with the insights from the field and the things we are bumping into in our practical daily jobs. And I think this is a really, really cool chance for us to address our problems, our challenges to people within the government at the right positions. So TechLeap is really steaming up for the last few months. And I think the coming year they will have a great voice within the Dutch government. So it's up to us to make that voice sound as aligned with our experiences in the business community. So first and for all, 6 panelists, I see them on the screen here. Welcome you all. Very cool that you are here. I'm gonna name you first, and then I'm gonna ask you to summarize the business you are representing in a maximum of 3 sentences, because I think we want to save as much time to address the messages to Arjan. So first, Marleen Evert from N-Exchange. Can you please, within a short introduction, tell who you are, what your company is doing, and please have in mind that my 80-year uncle doesn't necessarily have to understand it, but people who are a bit less tech savvy, that would be nice because we are all blockchain enthusiasts. But I would like to make the discussion as accessible as possible also for the non-blockchain people. So Marleen, please.
Thank you, Maarten. So my name is Marleen Everts. I'm the CEO and co-founder of both N-Exchange and Gold Republic, both digital asset trading platforms. N-Exchange, which I'm most involved with, is a fully regulated exchange, securities exchange, of which we've tokenized half of the assets, the cash.
Okay.
That's me.
Cool. Thank you, Marleen. Second, Joost van der Plas from Maven 11.
Yeah, Joost van der Plas. I'm founder of and managing partner of Making 11, a Amsterdam-based venture capital firm investing in blockchain initiatives all over the world.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Third, Joshua Jenster from VID.
Hi, I'm part of the founding team of VID. We make document authenticity verifiable using blockchain tech, allowing companies to verify if a document has been altered or not.
Okay, super. Thanks, Joshua. Sebastian van der Land from WordProof.
Yeah, Sebastian van der Land, founder WordProof. That's what you said. We fight for a trustworthy internet, and we do that through blockchain timestamps. We make sure that media outlets and e-commerce parties can prove their integrity, not only to people and readers and buyers, but also to search engines. And we want the blockchains for social good competition in Europe.
Okay, cool. We will elaborate a bit further later on that. Fifth, Jelle Pol from Dusk Network.
Hey everybody, Jelle Pol, founder and business director at Dusk Network. We build a blockchain for the financial markets. So simply put, that's software to make it easier and faster to create and trade digital shares.
Okay, cool and clear. And last but not least, Arthur Stolk from Iconic.
Hi, I'm Arthur, founder of Iconic Capital. We provide several strategies in the form of funds so that investors can invest in cryptocurrencies through our strategies.
Okay, very clear. Thanks, Arthur. Yeah, so like said, Team Dutch Blockchain Week. Keep in mind that we are aiming our message at Arjan, and we're going to do that by 5 statements, which we are going to walk through in 40 minutes time, something like that. Please feel free to jump in if you have the feeling that a certain question is made for you. I will throw in the statements and kick off with naming a name of which I think is suitable for the answer. And from there on, the discussion will find its way. The first statement is, and that is an interesting, though a broad one. What are the short and long-term challenges that the Dutch crypto scene encounters, in your opinion? And I would like to kick off with Marleen on this question.
Well, I think being active in a very regulated environment where you have different players with different roles, you can blockchain whatever you want, but you need to also involve the other larger incumbents to become part of that. So to give you an example, when we've tokenized the cash with ABN AMRO Clearing Bank, we had to basically run this project together, which went very rapidly. I think we've set it up in a few months, but on the security side, you see, we need the CSDs to be involved as well, and we see that it's taking a real long time to achieve that. Having said that, there's definitely some positive movement. So I would say the incumbents and taking regulation into account. Those are the 2 biggest things we have to deal with.
Okay, clear. Joost, what would you have to add on this from your position?
Maybe I'm tend to answer the question a bit broader. I think, if you're looking at long-term and short-term challenges, long-term, I don't think there is a difference between the challenge we have as a Dutch ecosystem and a global ecosystem. I think, we're all looking or trying to push the technology forward to build a new financial infrastructure that leads to applications that people can learn using and eventually also start using. But I think it's a global movement. And if you translate that to what the Dutch ecosystem should be looking for now, or what is the challenge, is to make sure that you contribute, that you don't miss out as a Dutch ecosystem as a whole. And for me, that comes down to things like, creating more awareness, including incumbents, including regulators, but also entrepreneurs. Also making sure that there are educational programs where we can learn about the technology, learn about where the rest of the global ecosystem is going. and ultimately also facilitating with legislation, just trivial stuff like getting a bank account if you're a blockchain startup, which is a hard thing to get arranged these days.
Yeah, and when you're saying not missing out on that global ecosystem, what's your opinion on where we're heading right now at this moment in time?
Yeah, well, I don't think we're missing out. We're tend to be a little bit late to the party, maybe. There's a lot of stuff going on in the US and also in the rest of Europe. And I think within the Europe context, there are now programs getting ramped up, either financially but also on the more educational supportive part. So it's definitely not too late, but things should start get rolling now. Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, clear. Well, that might be a cool bridge to you, Sebastian, because last year, or actually this year, you won a European Union subsidy. So first, can you elaborate a bit on that? And then I'm curious what you learned from the connection with the European Union and with all the other countries on the state of the Dutch ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. So it was not a subsidy, it was really a prize. So we could do anything we wanted with the money. That was 1 million. It was a competition and it was called Blockchains for Social Good. And 176 participants from over 40 countries participated, and we had the highest rating possible. It was a 29.5 out of 30 points with the concept to improve the internet. We did do that ourselves without a party that helped us writing the proposal, which was, we think, a great advantage in doing so. It's really, that was a one-off competition, the Blockchains for Social Good. There are many other opportunities in Europe, especially in the New Horizon program that's coming in I guess they launch it in the coming summer. What we see, for us, it's easier to get European money than Dutch money. And that's really a problem, I guess. So, for example, the SBR, that's a process a lot of companies engaged in. It's what you see is the RVO, for example, they're really supportive in the European work we do. They offer to proofread your documents and stuff like that. But the Dutch stuff, there is an intention to do something with blockchain. That's why they made the SBR thing. But how that one is judged, the criteria based on what they do and how they give the money, is really not blockchain. So the intention is to do something with blockchain, but the outcome, it isn't judged as, okay, what should blockchain bring to this world? And shall we really reward those projects? So my suggestion for the Dutch ecosystem, and it's really blockchain focused and not crypto, because, for example, WordProof doesn't have a token. But I think there's if we make blockchain a priority, we must make blockchain a priority. So initiatives like TechLeap, wonderful. The local government, Amsterdam, writing recommendation letters for WordProof, wonderful. The business ecosystem, wonderful. But in the government, I think we need to make this a priority.
Okay, cool. I wonder, Jelle, do you recognize like the few things that Sebastian is addressing, or do you have a complete other angle in viewing this?
Yeah, so I recognize most of it. I don't have exactly the same experiences that Sebastian has, but we definitely see in a broader sense that it's easier to get traction in various topics on a European level than on a national level, whether that's subsidies, but we also had those experience with banking or commercial traction or just things like that, right? And it kind of, well, one of the things that it boils down to, and I think Sebastian was alluding to it, is that, we want to pioneer this space, right? We want to do blockchain, but we don't really want to do what that then takes under the hood. So we really want this, the optics to be very good, and we want to be part of the game on a European level. But then the discussions are still, I don't know. Most times I go to a nationally led discussion, I'm still advised to not mention crypto, right, or not mention decentralization. And obviously, I am now at a stage where I try to throw this into the wind as much as I can, because there's just this illusion that we can expect to lead a space, but still be afraid to discuss half of it. And I'm not saying everything that happens in every corner of the space is great, but this desire to pioneer. But then on the one hand, right, when you're behind closed doors, shooting down everything related to where this technology came from, well, is at the very least naive, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so I think reputation of the space is an interesting topic, right? Also, and I wonder, Arthur, for example, especially when you are working on the financial side of the business. Well, of course, I think for the last year, the whole story of drug dealers and other crooks hanging out with crypto is pretty much it's gone pretty much, because the view has been more on the possibilities. Yeah, but still, I'm curious, how do you manage this reputation? Well, issue still, because we're not an established branch yet, I would say.
Yeah, so this environment is still lacking regulation, and we were one of the fighters for regulation. So let's hope that Mika will bring this in the upcoming year. But yeah, as a company, how do we do this? We have an external fund administrator that we use. They do all the KYC onboarding, so also the anti-money laundering checks. Besides that, I think that people also want to know from us as a company if we do it correctly. So we have an auditor that audits our fund fully, and we also have an agreed upon procedures. So every quarter, they check our gross asset value calculations, they check the client movements, and they check if the assets that we are saying that we have are on the exchanges where we are trading. So this is the maximum that we can do right now to provide comfort to potential investors in this space.
Okay, clear. Well, at this
something to this?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, because I think you're right that the narrative has switched a bit more away from, let's say the dark sides of crypto. And I think now what's really strong, and what's also proving that it's becoming a criminal activity, becoming user in the corner case of crypto, is the institutional adoption. The number of large institutions now tapping into Bitcoin or crypto or blockchain in the broader sense. That is proving that this is proving that there will be a mass adoption eventually of this new asset class, instead of the narrative that it's only being used for criminals, which is obviously not the case.
No, there was a really cool episode of the CryptoCast where Simon Lelyveld talked about Bitcoin as a public good. And I would highly recommend that one, because that is, in my opinion, a big switch in the narrative. It is a mind-blowing public good. And if seen that way, I think it will be driving the adoption majorly. So that CryptoCast with Simon, also for newbies, I think is really interesting. On this, the border of this regulatory developments and this reputation issue, I think VID can do really interesting things. So I'm wondering, Joshua, do you see a bigger demand for your products and for the things that you are offering? Joshua?
Sorry, my internet just.
Oh.
I think I'm back again, right?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yep.
Yeah, apologies for that. My internet is being a bit inconsistent today, but I think when it comes to adoption, we definitely see an improvement. But I think that's due to the fact that COVID hit us where we operate in. And after a while, we kind of saw new traction coming up, and that was because companies were investing in a new digital way of working, which our service is a really good addition to. So when it comes to, I think, the adoption side, it's mostly because of COVID, but it definitely is it definitely proves that the view that we had on blockchain being a criminal or corrupt space is definitely changed. But when it comes to an even bigger scale, I think I agree with what most others have been saying so far. We kind of need regulations or even certification of certain aspects of the blockchain on the technical side instead of the financial side in order to scale it even higher up or to a next level so that even bigger corporations can adopt it in business critical systems. Because at the moment, it's mostly because they want to innovate and try new technology instead of adding it to be a business critical sustained technology.
Okay, clear. I'm wondering, Sebastian, like you said, by getting in contact with governments, you find out that the level of knowledge is not at where you want it to be to have a fruitful discussion. What, in your view, would be the best way to get them on the right flight level, so to say?
The thing is, the thing we just discussed was, or the thing I just discussed in making my point was about subsidizing or making funds available. The question is, why should you? I'm an entrepreneur. There are other ways to get funding than government stuff. So, as an entrepreneur, I can find the VCs. 5 VCs a day reach out to me for doing investments. But the thing is, how important is blockchain for Europe and how important is blockchain for the Netherlands? We have a large opportunity here to what Europe did with GDPR was saying, hey, if you want to do business with Europe, you need to comply here, and we care about a better internet. So it's a big commitment, it's a big statement. The question is, and that must be a decision on high level, how important do we think this blockchain thing, and blockchain for me, it's just about integrity by design instead of an afterthought. How important is blockchain strategically? Because we have a big opportunity. As Europe, we have a huge opportunity, but also as the Netherlands, we are a playground for many big companies where we test out, try out concepts. Timestamping, for example, WordProof does timestamping, VID does timestamping. The Netherlands in Europe is a massive, massive player in timestamping. The Netherlands worldwide is a massive player in timestamping. We have a big opportunity, but also the crypto funds and the things that the other people in the panel are doing. It's our opportunity to put the Netherlands really, on the map worldwide. So if the government thinks this is interesting, this is their opportunity of their lifetime. As the work, the real life use cases we have in the Netherlands are something to be really, really proud of.
Yeah. So, and then my question would be, and it might be a bit controversial, what would you need the government for? So they can also, and I think there's a different angle for the financial products than for WordProof. Because in the case of WordProof, I would say they should stay out of the game because you have 4 or 5 VCs at your office every day. Maybe this is different for the financial organizations who look for a bit more of a regulation that would give them more like reputation. So I see Jelle nodding or being a bit annoyed. So please elaborate a bit on this.
Okay, can I make one small remark before Jelle? Is that okay for you, Jelle?
Yep.
Yeah. So for us, the getting money from governments, that's not the interesting part, but it's really the getting the support and then prioritizing it. We can be front runners in the Netherlands. So I'm not worried about where to get money, but we have everything, every building block to put the Netherlands on the map. Back to you, Jelle.
Thanks. The weather report. Just to what I was nodding about. So when you design systems like this, right, blockchain by themselves are very incentive-based systems, but you can also look at funding that way. So a lot of the products or the companies that are being built serve certain interests, right? And when these interests, for example, are more private, so you're a commercial company that uses blockchain as part of your stack, then VC funding might be great. However, if you're building something that's decentralized or open source, then you serve a public interest, which means that it's typically very hard to get specific profit-driven entities to invest in you, because why should they pick up the bill for something that benefits everybody? And this is also where governments can play a crucial role, because they're kind of, well, in some cases, the only kind of institution that can say, hey, this is something that is valuable to our country as a building block for the type of place that we want to be in the widest sense. And we understand that we're the only ones that can pick up that bill, because as soon as we leave this to the market, then the interests start to change. The people start to, start pushing for returns or, normal commercial interests. There's nothing against them, but it will corrupt the product in some senses, in some business cases. So that's why such a crucial role, if you want to really deliver on some of the potential of blockchain and decentralization and open source collaboration, then they play a hugely important role.
Okay, clear. I'm curious whether someone in the panel would like to add to that.
I think if the difficulty in, at least from our perspective, is that how do you use blockchain and what advantage does it give? And I'm actually I think compared to the others, quite positive. I'm very reliant of the AFM, for example, who's very collaborative in new initiatives and thinking how it should be set up. So those things are very helpful. What my experience, at least, I'm thinking like, okay, where can it be improved? The funny thing is, if I would have approached the regulator through sandbox environment or whatsoever, I would have never been able to do what we are currently doing, and that is a strange thing. So the infrastructure that is set up to promote new initiatives, if you approach it from that way, then you probably will never get through, and that's a bit strange. But on the other side, kudos for our team at the AFM and how they work with us and how they really think how we can use blockchain to make things more efficient, better working, etc. So I don't want to be only negative about what we're doing in the Netherlands. I think that we, from a securities perspective, we are we are way ahead in what is possible and what not. So.
I recognize that a lot, Marleen, because a big thing in my experience is that people are willing to cooperate and to collaborate, but it's hard for them to really get behind initiatives because they just lack the knowledge. And with this knowledge, there's some spiritual backhold. So it's hard for people from governments to really jump in because the knowledge is just you need to have a lot of knowledge before really backing up ideas, and it's that's what it is. I think in this line I'm curious because of course it's important to help governments understand the technology better, but I'm also fiercely believe in the younger generation, in education and with working with universities. So I'm curious how you look at this. So is it for you as business, you with your business, is it possible to find the right talent? Is there enough talent? I think this is an important question. If you really want to build companies, you need to have the right people and the right talent. So Arthur, can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yes. So for us, we develop a lot of strategies in the high frequency trading area, and for us there is a big pool of big talents right now. And what we see is that a lot of freshly graduated students are open and willing to start at a crypto trading firm like us. So we have a big pool to choose from.
Cool. Joshua, what would you have to say on this topic?
Well, I think there's a very big scarcity in tech talent already. And when it comes to blockchain being one of a more, let's say, lesser known or lesser experienced like way of working in the tech sector, I think having proper tech talent is actually very difficult to find. But I think there's a lot of initiatives going on that really do push education when it comes to these kinds of new technologies. So I know, for example, Lisk Center is one of our business contacts, and they're pushing ways to develop new opportunities for developers, in a sense, so that they can educate themselves on what is this blockchain technology and how do we actually fit and how can we add to the whole ecosystem of development. And I think, and I'm looking at Sebastian here, but the open source industry is also picking up a lot of the innovations and additions to the blockchain technology. So I think that's a really good trend that we're seeing. It's just that finding proper Dutch blockchain devs is difficult. It's very difficult.
Okay, thanks, Joshua. So we're heading for the wrap up, and I would like to have a little round. Because so far the things I hear, it's about regulatory stuff, it's about reputation, but that one is slowly moving to the background, and it's about education. So I would like you to pick one of those three with a small elaboration on it, and that one to round it off, because we're running out of our time schedule. So please, Joost, can you kick that one off?
Yeah, I can, but I won't pick one. I'll add one if that's okay with you, because I think one thing that needs to be added is mindset. And no, I think if you compare the Netherlands with, for example, the US, which traditionally has more access to capital, developers and stuff like that, the mindset in that ecosystem is far more opportunistic, future-driven. There is a lot of imagination where this technology can bring us. And what needs to be done, and we tend to be more, I guess it's a cultural burden. We're more sober and looking at short-term use cases and detailed business planning and business case and stuff like that. And I think it goes from entrepreneurs. However, in this panel we have entrepreneurs that are, I think, standing above the rest of the ecosystem, but. From entrepreneurs to investors to corporate organizations, we have to create a mindset that this is a very disruptive technology, and we have to now start putting effort in it, and then eventually regulation will always follow innovation. Don't wait for the regulator, just go ahead and build the future.
Cool. Yeah, that's a beautiful one. Imagination, I really like that one. So, and you're leaving the rest of the panel with a fourth one. So, Sebastian, please.
Yeah, I think, for example, there's the Singapore blockchain thing where many of us here, I know VID is part of it, Ledger Laboratory is part of it. We're all welcomed with open arms there to tell about the solutions we have made in the Netherlands. So great initiatives are happening. That one was initiated by the Netherlands, so that's great as well. Talent, sort of to... in general, the state for being a blockchain business here is good. In Europe, it's good, and in the Netherlands, it's good. It's, for example, every month I get a few invites to do from researching students on blockchain. They're so knowledgeable, and those are people from the UvA, from the VU, and I'm so impressed by how deep the thinking on blockchain is at those universities. That comes because of the great universities, but secondly, because a choice for blockchain is always a choice by heart. You fall in love, and from then you never want to do something else. And keep up the great work. A lot, for example, the local governments in Amsterdam, they write recommendation letters. They do everything to support us. The big publishers, they're really open to trying stuff. So to all of us, to the ecosystem, keep up the great work. And for the Netherlands, especially for the Netherlands, inside the Netherlands, make this work, make it a priority to a strategic priority. We are front runners. The businesses here are front runners.
Super
So
cool.
we need to leverage it.
Super cool, Sebastian. I love your enthusiasm, by the way. So it's really energizing. It's a cool thing. Joshua.
Well, it's hard to to continue this positive note of Sebastian. I think I'd like to finish this off with a combination of what Sebastian said and Joost. I think the mindset within these ecosystems at the moment is we're all working together to make this an even bigger space and to even adopt more use cases. And I think that's a very good thing to do. So I want to sort of have TechLeap, for example, or the Dutch Blockchain Coalition or Blockchain Coalition Netherlands and all these kinds of parties. I think I want to tell them to keep up the great work of combining these use cases, finding the right partners for the right technology as well as financial innovations. And I think the government can do a lot more to sustain these kinds of partnerships, like Sebastian said, but we're doing a great job already. And I think when it comes to mindset, let's all make a bigger pie so that we all can get a bigger piece of it. If you want to look at it from a commercial perspective, but when it comes to the mindset and the ecosystem, I think we're doing great, and we have to just keep it up to make it even better.
Okay, super cool, Joshua. Jelle, please.
Yeah, so a lot of positivity, so I guess I'll crank it down again. No, so I think the Netherlands have been very proficient at regulating, and we've done very well to prevent like negative excesses and scams. But I also think that in some regards, we've created a bit of an environment that has become less effective at spinning up a lot of new companies in the space or even promoting this. So obviously, it's great to see everybody again, but it can be a little bit of a sign on the wall that it's all familiar faces, speaker lists, schedules, you name it, right? And it would also be very fun to join a panel and see 6 people like, how did I miss this, right? I need to get back out and see what's really happening at over the last year, because there's just a huge cost and time burden imposed on companies in our space, right? And this is regulators, infrastructure, financial institutions, everything. And so many of kind of my wider sense colleagues that I speak to are very, very skeptical about, if I would have to start this business today, would I still do it, right? Knowing what I know now or seeing what the space is now might not even be possible. So there's obviously, a lot to be done for the powers that be and making it cheaper, making it a better space, and or making it more accessible for new companies to arise. But I also think that for the companies that were privileged enough to start early or do very well, or you name it, to really continue the momentum that's now kind of coming up and really drive the message home, right? Because education has been very lopsided. We've talked about it a lot of times where people have kind of gone in blockchain hiding to get bank accounts and all that kind of stuff, avoiding the trigger words because, well, we need to participate in this economy, right? But that is now slowly kind of starting to get behind us. So this is kind of where the companies that are in that arena really need to step forward and kind of no longer give convenient narratives or hide what is truly possible. We need to kind of, if the top down isn't going fast enough, then we need to start dragging them into that center space as well.
Okay, cool. Really good. So it's almost impossible to counter Sebastian's enthusiasm, but I think it's really good to have a nuanced view because it's definitely not only sunshine. So thanks for that one, Jelle. Arthur.
Yeah, I want to pick the regulation side. So what we need in this space is a clear legal framework where we all can operate in, and that all the rules across Europe are the same for every crypto company or crypto trader. I think that will give lots of more clarity to everyone, but also to new investors. And then we have all the tools and the sets ready to make this industry mature, because we're still lacking the maturity right now. We're there for a big piece, but the legal framework will make this, will create the next step in this industry. And I hope that the regulation, the MiCA regulation on markets and crypto assets from the EU will be there 2021, and that implementation will be there in 2022. Okay. So just hold on a little bit more for the regulation.
Okay, very clear answer. Thank you, Arthur. And we started off with Marleen, and we're finishing it off with Marleen. So please.
I would really vote for more collaboration, more real-life projects. If we take, for example, 2 tokens, which we're now going into phase 2, I experienced this so fantastic that regulators are involved, corporates are involved, tech development companies are involved. Everybody's really collaborating, and this has been so good because we've resolved so many issues. That you can simply not think of on your own, but also cannot finance, because you have such a long leapway in this innovation space. You cannot finance it on your own, and by just joining forces and producing real life cases and really building them and doing it, I think that is one of the things that I experience as most positive things. And I would also very much like if the tax departments are going to be more involved, because we have the regulators, the Dutch central banks also sort of looking into it, etc. But I see massive issues coming up for how to treat all these new opportunities and all these new possibilities to fund or to trade or to own or to use assets, how we need to treat that from a tax perspective. I think that is one of the biggest issues coming up.
Yeah, fully agree. Clear. I see. I hear some nodding from the rest of the group. So that is it. It's a wrap, I would say. Thanks for all the very valuable contributions. I would say Team Dutch Blockchain Week. Because I think Arjan is very well served with all the answers and all the insights that you gave TechLeap from your specific places and companies. So thanks so much for that, and hope to see you next time in real life or in a setting like this. But thanks so much for your contribution, and have a good day all.